One is they were raised up in pride, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's been one central sin that has been always plagued humanity since the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And number 2 is disobedience, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want to scatter. They didn't want to fill the whole earth. They wanted to remain together so that they could make a name for themselves.
Yeah, I think what they're leaning into is the independence of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to reach God on their own terms and not have to wait for God on his terms.
On their terms. That's interesting. But
and through their own effort.
Well, right. Like Trevor said, it's pride. I mean, they're just concerned with, with the accomplishment of it.
Welcome, everyone, to Todd's World, Beers with Jesus. Thank you for joining us. We're back on schedule, which I'm excited about. We took, I don't know, 3 weeks off or something. And we have a guest. Carrie's with me, of course. Carrie's always here. How are you doing, Carrie?
Great. How about you?
Good. You're very Martha Stewart-ish today.
Yeah, I'm still in my work clothes.
And we have Cousin Trevor on the line from sunny Sarasota, right?
Beautiful Sarasota-ish, Florida. Yeah.
There you go.
Sarasota-ish. That's a mouthful.
Couple of Floridians and a Michigander, as they say. How you doing, guys? Good to see you. Trevor, how you been?
Very good. Thanks.
Yeah, it's been a while since you were on.
It has. But this is what we've been waiting for, the Tower of Babel.
You're excited about this? I'm so glad.
Trevor was excited. He wanted to come on. He said, when you do the Tower of Babel, have me on.
He has something to add.
I can babble.
He has something significant to add.
Just babble.
So yeah.
I'm glad.
And we use, of course, the Message. Now that's a stretch for Trevor because he's a bit traditional, probably. You probably don't even have a Message, do you?
I don't. Can you find that in a leather-bound edition or not?
I don't know. Maybe I have a hardcover, but I don't have a leather because I actually prefer the hardcovers, even though this one I'm using right now is just a little paperback, but it's
Trevor,
large print.
Did you say it doesn't count unless it's leather bound? Is that what you said?
That's right.
Will always says it's a nice commentary.
Yeah. I wish Will was here right now.
I tried to get Will on and he was indisposed. I don't know what. He's retired from podcasting largely.
I would like to have heard his thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
Trevor, have you been listening? You've been listening to what we've been talking about in Genesis?
I have. Not as faithfully as I should have. I'm sorry.
Right.
But I have.
If you miss anything, it's not as faithfully as you should.
That's right. I've enjoyed the Genesis and the flood.
What do you think? What have you heard? What do you think? Any opinions?
I just love the commentary, and I love it. I love that it's accessible, that we can use our minds and creativity to fill in some of those spots that aren't as black and white.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Kind of, something that if you ever talk to ChatGPT, it always reminds you that it's not, you're in dangerous territory.
Oh, really?
You're almost in heresy land.
That's a Grok tries to do that to me once in a while.
Really? It's kind of weird. You think they'd love that territory.
I'm going to say ChatGPT is like in dangerous heresy territory. I don't know why we're talking to ChatGPT or Grok about the Bible. Call me crazy.
It's surprising how I like bouncing things off Grok. As much for myself as writing it out. As I'm thinking it out, I don't pay all that much attention. Once in a while, I'll say that. But it's not like it's more of a monologue than a dialogue. But at least I get some feedback, and I'm getting feedback from whatever constitutes the broad reach of whatever Grok was trained on.
Right.
But
yeah, there's just a lot of wild stuff out there.
A lot of what I'm after is history. I like it for research. I like to know kind of the history. So I'll ask it if I'm kind of pursuing a certain kind of angle. on a passage. I'll just ask if there's anything out there that I, that where this is at or whatever. If I haven't heard about it myself.
Right.
The limbs that I so often go out on.
So
Right, Trevor?
So my son, who's a little anti-ChatGPT, said, if you look something up, then scroll down past the answer, or maybe it's the AI overview on Google, and it will show you like where it's coming from.
Okay.
He's like, then go find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He doesn't want us to get lazy. But Trevor, we appreciate listening. Hopefully you'll keep listening, even though you've just discovered we don't have leather-bound Bibles that we're reading from. But
yeah.
I
I own some leather-bound Bibles, just they're not very good.
I do.
They're not as good as the message. But I like the narrative twist of the message. That really is. I just like the narrative style.
You're a storyteller. Right.
Yeah. And so that it resonates with me. You know what I mean? And I think it resonates with what we do on here, which is try to focus on the stories. And what we have today, really, I think, Tower of Babel, and see, this is one where people would kind of think of it as not like that big of a story. I think sometimes they there's not a lot to talk about or whatever. But to me, this is like all these foundational stories kind of at the beginning of Genesis, like the flood and like the Nephilim, even if there's only 4 verses. But we're talking about things that had civilization-wide mass impacts. You know what I mean? And this is another one. Like these are foundational stories, I think. So I feel like they're kind of important. What do you think, Trevor?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. Just ready to get into it. Let's read.
All right, let's read. Carrie's reading today. She's going to pick up just a couple verses out of 10 and then the first little part of 11.
We normally don't skip anything, but chapter 10 is the entire family tree of Noah's sons. And if you're really into genealogy,
Carrie's not in for the humiliation ritual of reading all the names.
We encourage you to go and read that or listen to it read online. But no, we're gonna skip ahead just a teensy bit, and then we're gonna skip a section. Okay. Where are we starting here? The sons of Rama, is that where we are? Sheba, Dedan, Cush also had Nimrod. He was the first great warrior on earth. He was a great hunter before God. There was a saying, like Nimrod, a great hunter before God. His kingdom got its start with Babel, then Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the country of Shinar. From there he went up to Ashur and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Ir, Kala, and Rezin between Nineveh and the great city Kala. Then we're jumping down.
Yeah, hit just the very last 32.
There we go. These, I'm going to go just one before that. These are the descendants of Shem by family, language, country, and nation. This is the family tree of the sons of Noah as they developed into nations. From them, nations developed all across the earth after the flood. All right.
Perfect.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, then let's do that first section of 11.
Okay. All right. At one time, the whole earth spoke the same language. It so happened that as they moved out of the east, they came upon a plain in the land of Shinar and settled down. They said to one another, "Come, let's make bricks and fire them well." They used brick for stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let's build ourselves a city and a tower that reaches heaven. Let's make ourselves famous so we won't be scattered here and there across the earth." God came down to look over the city and the tower those people had built. God took one look and said, "One people, one language. Why, this is only a first step. No telling what they'll come up with next. They'll stop at nothing. Come, we'll go down and garble their speech so they won't understand each other." Then God scattered them from there all over the world, and they had to quit building the city. That's how it came to be called Babel, because there God turned their language into Babel. From there, God scattered them all over the world.
Good job, Carrie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to hit as we talk. Well, the Nimrod thing may seem a little strange, but I think it'll fit into what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And then the very last thing I wanted to kind of reinforce, because we're going with the story that from Noah's sons, all the nations developed all across the earth after the flood. So that's the claim of the Bible. And I think, it's whether or not it's not a science book, it's not whatever, but that's the story. And so that's the framework of this story going forward. So as we get into Abraham, we get into some of those things, we just know what we're dealing with. So then we get to Babel. What were your thoughts on the Tower of Babel? I mean, maybe everybody kind of knows the story, do you think? Or you think it's a little bit obscure?
It's in the children's Bible storybook, isn't it?
I think.
Yeah, it sure is. That's why
I think it is, but it doesn't stand out as much. I don't know. Maybe our teachers, maybe in my growing up, the teachers didn't really know what to do with this story. It was more like, I think we heard it and then we moved on. I don't feel like there were big lessons taught in this.
That's where all the languages came from, right? That's where all the different nationalities.
Exactly. Almost like, and again, I'm careful to say this, but I do feel like it was presented as a little bit of like a mythology to explain where the different languages came from.
Well, and maybe, I don't know. I mean, for our purposes, we take the stories as if they actually happen. So, if I find out on the other side of the veil that it was mythology, it wouldn't hurt my feelings. It's fine. I think it serves the same purpose. You know what I mean? So, and maybe the mythology is even stronger. You know what I mean? Maybe I was listening to Jordan Peterson this week, and he was talking about fiction and this kind, and how it's actually more real than fact. These foundational kind of stories, because we think in stories, our whole lives are stories. Anyway, that's Jordan Peterson's story.
I would love to hear him talk about that. That would be really interesting.
But I thought it was pretty good. So, and what I think, so you're getting this. Tell me, Trevor, you have some ideas on this, and I actually wanted to start with you. Wanted to hear your unique perspective. What do you think about it?
I have a lot of ideas about it, to tell you the truth.
Tell me all your ideas. Well, at least start with one, then we'll see where we go from there. Lex Luthor.
Well, I just wonder why does this have to be mythology? I mean, it doesn't have to be, but then with the story of the flood, would we have to take that as mythology?
No, I'm just saying that. Yeah, that's how it was kind of presented almost.
You could, though. No, I feel like you could. I mean, I don't. I don't want to say that. Yeah. My only point is that even for people that do, I think it still holds a lot of truth. But personally, I think it happened. I think he said it's presented like it happened. That's one of the reasons I wanted to read that final thing, and then it'd be too much probably to read the whole thing, but it really leans into the fact that everybody came from Noah's three sons. Like it's not shying away from, like, this is real. These are the people. This is the history. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So personally, I don't think it's mythology. I think it bears some resemblance to mythology, or maybe it's just in how strong and foundational the stories are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think it's kind of amazing, because for me the whole Bible is taken as in one unit. I mean, you talk about these stories, and then you didn't make an apology for it at the beginning, Todd, but it almost was like, you got Noah, and then everybody else came from him and his three sons, and it was kind of like, we're almost ashamed. I'm not ashamed, but I'm afraid to say it because that opens a whole can of worms, and then you have to just go at it, right?
Right.
But I'm going to go at it right now. I'm going to tell you, I think it actually happened. I mean, what happens? And I think the Tower of Babel was central to it, because you have all of Noah's sons, and they're doing what they're supposed to do, right? They're multiplying and trying to fill the earth again, right?
Yeah.
just like God gave Adam and Eve that command and to do that at the beginning of the world.
Yeah, and they must have had more than clearly. There's way more than this. So these are just for whatever reasons people of significance that are being named, but they're leaving us a clear lineage.
Yeah,
like from Noah to Abraham.
Right.
Like
and we don't know how many people. I mean, they were making a great city. They were making a tower that was going to reach into the heavens. So there must have about. I'm not sure. Did you ask Grok how many people they had at the time?
I didn't. One of the reasons that I wanted to read the Nimrod part is that he was the first great warrior on earth. He was a great hunter before God, but he was also a great builder. And this actually is brought out, I think, in some other translations that I was reading. So he built these cities, probably was the primary architect of the Tower of Babel. Like this is so they've built, I don't know how long this has been going on, but I think we're given to think that it's been a while. There's a lot of people.
Right.
And so you have it names these other cities, but then I think this idea of Babel was, I don't know if it was first or if it was you had a few of the others and then this was kind of the culmination. Some people think that the idea of this tower was that they could escape another civilization ending flood.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe.
Yeah.
Was part of the idea. Although I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Well, you know,
what was the reasoning? I mean, the Bible gave the reasoning about why they were building this tower and why they were building this.
They said to one another, so they came upon, so it's this idea that the whole earth is speaking one language, and that as they moved out east, they're all still together. So they aren't really quite doing what God wanted, which is fill the earth and scatter. But then he says, come, they say to one another, come, let's make bricks and fire them well. They used brick for stone and tar for mortar. I think the idea there is that they used advanced technology. Let's say that. They were replacing stone with brick. You understand what I'm saying? So even at this stage, they were somewhat advanced. And come, let's build ourselves a city and a tower that reaches heaven. Let's make ourselves famous so we won't be scattered here and there across the earth, is what they said.
Right. So their main goal was to, one, make themselves famous, and number two, make it so that they wouldn't have to be scattered across the earth.
Yeah.
Right. And God's reaction, can we read that?
Yes. God came down to look over the city and the tower those people had built. God took one look and said, one people, one language. Why, this is only a first step. No telling what they'll come up with next. They'll stop at nothing. Come, we'll go down and garble their speech so they won't understand each other. Then God scattered them from there all over the world, and they had to quit building the city. That's how it came to be called Babel, because there God turned their language into Babel. From there, God scattered them all over the world.
So there's two things that were happening that they were doing. One is they were raised up in pride, right? So that's been one central sin that has been always plagued humanity since the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And number two is disobedience, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want to scatter. They didn't want to fill the whole earth. They wanted to remain together so that they could make a name for themselves.
Yeah, I think what they're leaning into is the independence of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to reach God on their own terms and not have to wait for God on his terms. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, Carrie?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. On their terms. That's interesting. But
and through their own effort.
Well, right. Like Trevor said, it's pride. I mean, they're just concerned with, with the accomplishment of it. And again, I don't think we're not going to have to qualify everything we say here. I mean, we all know that God gives us gifts and we're allowed to excel and be good at things,
sure.
but their motivation is not right in God's eyes.
Yeah.
It's for their own glory and not for his. And like Trevor, you noticed too, they're being disobedient. They've got this community, they're all close, they want to stay there. So it's not what he
And
asked them to do.
And I love how God had to come down and take a look
I know.
at this.
It's like,
And then
wait until your father gets here.
God said, whoa, I'm scared. I'm worried. If I don't do something, they're going to reach the heavens, right? They're going to become a threat to God. No, God didn't say that, did he? I mean, the Bible kind of makes it sound like he was like that, but I think that's where we have to dig into the meat of the story. Why did God even take note of this? And why did he choose that event to finally intervene?
I feel like he was nipping it in the bud. It's not like he actually fears that they're going to be like a threat to him, or maybe this tower is actually going to reach heaven. I mean, obviously, no. I think we can all agree that that's not the real concern. But to be like, oh my gosh, like they're already off. They're already off on a path that I don't want them to go on. So it's almost him like knocking him down a peg, nipping it in the bud and saying, no, this is not what we're doing here. It's kind of like you start to hear shenanigans among the kids when they're little. You walk in, no, we're not doing this. And you send them off to do something else. I don't know.
I think that it's very what's the word, anthropomorphic? Is that the word? It's very when you see God in this, this is God as a person. Like, this is God doing things. This isn't like the Spirit of God. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is like, I think that this must be in tradition. There are some traditions that think that this is a pre-incarnate kind of appearance of Christ that happens throughout kind of the Old Testament, where he kind of appears in this, kind of a form, and is
like
talking
with Adam in the Garden of Eden, right?
I think the same thing. Yeah.
And with Noah, was it Noah? Early on? Oh, with Enoch. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they walked together.
And I mean, he talked to Noah, so yeah. I mean,
what do they call this? The early world? Is this called the early world?
I don't know. Well, you had the antediluvian world, which was before the flood, and then after this, we're into I don't know what you would call it.
I thought I had heard someone say this is like the early world, but
maybe that's what it's called.
It sounds fitting. I'll call it that. I apologize if that's incorrect. But in the early world, it seems like God is never apologize. I think that's what these people might have said. Build a tower and never apologize.
Anyway, go ahead, Carrie.
I just, it seems like during this period, like in Genesis up until now, that we've seen that. We've seen God among them, like in human form.
I think
not a booming voice, or
I'm not going to be able to express this very well, because I'm not sure it can be expressed very well. I think I can just get around the edges of it a little, but I think when the incarnation takes place within creation, there's part of that's timeless. It doesn't, I mean, I know that it's an event that happens in time, but it also stretches out over the whole story. And so when Jesus appears, I think it's Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? I that's what I think it is. I think that somehow he's incarnated, and it's true, it happens at this one time, but it kind of spreads over the whole thing, both backward and forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, we think in a timeline, like you said, and you have to be on this timeline. You have to go to the next episode. God sees it all as one. It's like him, and he can just turn to whatever he wants, right? Or he sees the whole story at once.
Yeah, there's a sense in which God died for man at the same time that he created man. In other words, it's all now to him. Do you know what I mean? But it's tough for us to wrap our head around this. But I think it suits us always, because the tendency with everybody is to take, when God steps into a story, and be like, we want to make sure that everybody knows that God isn't really worried, because God never worries. And so we start to kind of buttress, and I think sometimes it's worth just taking God as the character that he is in this story. We know that certainly there's a lot more than that, but just within a story, I think God can almost play just almost a character role in his own drama. I mean, we know he did the ultimate sense of that is Jesus. And I think to some extent he does it all through the book. And so when you almost see God, it's almost like he learns a little. I know that in a sense he can't, but I think that there's part of that. If you think about how much we like to learn and all the wonder and everything, I think there's part of that experience that somehow God gets through all of creation and everything. Do you know what I mean? Why would we love it so much? We're made in his image, and you know what I mean?
I like how you're delicately saying this because if you read from the beginning of Genesis, and if you know the New Testament at all, God has a little bit of a different personality.
Yeah.
So did God like grow and change throughout time? Possibly.
Well, maybe
I
his
like
character
to think,
within this story did.
sure.
Without God, the eternality that is
Right.
everything. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, I think there can be a difference. Don't you think, Trevor? Or no?
I think so. You just kind of brought me back to the Gospel of John. Remember, because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and God was with him in the beginning.
Right.
So that would support your theory that you were trying. I thought you explained it really well.
Yeah.
Because that's God does not. He's outside of time. He's outside of space. He's outside of all those realms, and he can step in whenever he wants.
But in some way, like especially we know within the incarnation, at least, I mean, it has to be that there was some way for Jesus to kind of, he could tap into the everlasting, but it doesn't seem like he walked around with it all the time. In other words, certainly he asked questions to which he didn't know the answer, or else he wouldn't have had anything resembling a human experience like we do. You know what I mean? So he had to somehow be able to put a veil on it for his experience. Does that make sense? Where he could, when he wanted to, it seems like, tap into it, but maybe spend a lot of the time just kind of living in the spirit like maybe we're supposed to. Does that make sense?
Wasn't the Apostle Paul, this is something about the veil of flesh that we have?
Yeah.
That, that kind of keeps us from our true purpose.
Yeah.
The
Well, and
veil
I
of
think it was
flesh.
maybe in a way, part of Jesus emptying himself. Like, is it Philippians where it talks about that? Where he talks about, and he emptied himself and became a servant to all, even to the point of going to the cross.
Right.
And so there's some ways in which, in order to participate in his own story, God is kind of putting some of that foreknowledge of everything or whatever in the veil. I don't know how, I can't imagine it, but I feel like that's what it looks like. And I can imagine wanting to do it if I was God, because it's fun.
Right?
You know what I mean? I don't.
You'd want to be a part. You'd want to like be close to it, right? Wouldn't you
Yeah.
want to be close to your creation? All right. This is so not the direction I thought we were going, but I have to go on a tangent. All right. So if you guys are thinking about God enjoys going and being close to his creation. Okay. And then fast forward to Jesus's time. Jesus is, God made into man. Has his whole human experience for a greater purpose. Do we think God did God stop coming here? Has he stopped coming? Or
Well, theoretically, he's coming through his church, right? Through us.
Well,
we're the body of
that's
Christ.
what I was going to say. Like, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't feel
we're
like
the hands and feet of Jesus.
I don't feel like it's the same.
And the Holy Spirit's here now, where the Holy Spirit wasn't somehow there then.
Thank you. Okay, that helps.
So maybe
the Holy Spirit is here.
I mean, in that way, I guess he's closer maybe than ever in the hearts of so many different people and whatever, and working all the time. And so Jesus said he said, it'll be better for you if I leave so that he can come. So we don't know what that means, but whatever it means, Jesus knew that it would be better for us if we just had the Holy. And so he is close. You know what I mean? But I think physically, I think it's through Christians, don't you, Trevor?
I think so. I think you're sounding like, the dispensationalism is coming through you now.
Why?
And the difference. No, but I agree.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a church. I mean, the church. The kingdom age, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I don't think I don't think that ends so much as Christ just comes and kind of culminates it. You know what I mean? And then rolls out whatever the rest of the
Well,
kingdom story is.
there was different ages of revelation, right? In the beginning, the revelation, that was displayed in creation, and then you had the word that was coming in, the law, actually, and then you have Jesus coming as the word, and you're right. Now we're at the, God is supposed to be revealed through his church. And
Right.
so I don't know if we do a good job.
Well, we probably don't. What's impressive, I think, actually,
it depends if Beyonce's performing.
Oh, did you see that? Did I send that to you, Trevor?
No.
Or did I just send it to
Trevor?
Will? I sent it to Will and Carrie.
Sorry.
It was some Southern Baptist megachurch. I don't know. I don't know the name, and I don't even know the place. But it was like they were having a warm up, like for the sermon or whatever, and it was like this medley of like Beyonce songs and like all these like chicks in like Beyonce outfits. It was so strange. So very strange.
It looked like a talent show. It did not look like a church service.
But in spite of, and we're going to talk more about this a little
Okay.
later in this discussion.
Okay.
But in spite of all of the problems and all of the missteps that the church has done, the amazing thing to me is somehow God uses it anyway. Like somehow he works anyway, like in spite of us all the time. And it's easier to see if we look at it like in our personal lives. It's easier to be like, well, yeah, he works through us. But somehow when we widen out the lens, we hope that it'll be a little bit better than the micros.
Thank you for saying that, Todd, because I was feeling like, I don't know if that's happening, but I think you're right. That's a little encouraging.
But Trevor, I thought you had something about AI you saw in this.
Well, I do.
Oh, yeah.
There's a pattern throughout Scripture where
Oh, he's getting there. I'm ruining it.
two sins, there's two sins that they keep coming up,
Yes.
You have sin of
Pride and disobedience. That's what you said.
Disobedience, yep. And it's all when you try to raise yourself up to the level of God, when you try to assume a position that you don't have. What happens after that? God intervenes.
Right.
He takes your legs out from under you, and then you have humility.
Judgment.
And then you have humility, right?
Yes.
Because judgment brings humility.
Right.
That happened at the creation, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say it was already happened. It could say too it happened at with the angels.
Absolutely. Yep. That was
the flood.
Creation. Yeah. It happened in the flood. And then it repeated in we don't know how long, maybe 1,000 years later, who knows, at the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And it just keeps on happening, and the Lord has always intervened. And I'm just saying, when is the next intervention from the Lord going to come?
Ooh.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, a lot of people are excited about AI, and I know Todd uses Grok, and I use Chat GPT, and I love it too,
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing that you can put the stuff in and it can just process it just like that. Todd's books. Here's your, it could be his publicist, analyze it, and it's just so amazing. But people
would do something other than just say, "This is really good. You should do something with this."
If it could wash the dishes, I would use it.
This is the best book I ever read. I don't know why you don't tell anybody about it.
But anyway, it's happening. I believe it's happening with this AI movement. People are expecting AI to have more intelligence than all of the human. I don't know. I can't remember what they call it, but
I don't either.
It's going to be smarter than all of humanity, and I don't know, 20
accumulated intelligence of man or something.
And they think it's just going to keep on going on into exponential intelligence, and it's going to take over and wipe out man. But we're not going to get that far yet.
I don't.
But people are thinking it's going to be able to cure diseases. It's going to be able to make it. We have, everybody has abundance. Nobody has it. There's anything that you want, you can have, and you won't have to work, and you're going to have no diseases, and you're going to be able to possibly live, hundreds of years, if not
almost
forever.
Sounds like the kingdom of God.
I was going to say, I don't think any of that is happening here, but okay.
Well, I don't know if I think there is a pride is the main sin of that. And when is God going to intervene? People say, I personally think that, God won't let it get to the point, who knows what could happen. There could be
the Elon Musk were fleeing for Mars point?
Yeah, who knows?
I don't think so either. I don't even believe in space. No, I'm just kidding.
But what if
I don't believe in space.
was not Elon Musk leaving for Mars, Todd? What if his intervention was not a war that would just blow up all the computers? Then we'd be back to Stone Age type of civilization. What if his intervention was actually the second coming of Christ?
Yeah. You mean you could see that happening sooner, anytime, rather than later, maybe.
I'm saying that every time that pattern in the Bible, every time we try to elevate ourselves to a position that we don't, rightfully belong,
right?
God intervenes with judgment. And I don't know. I just think that this AI thing, and a lot of people are scared of it. A lot of people are heralding it. You either love it or you hate it. I just think it's the natural progression of man always trying to become creator, trying to be like God.
Yeah.
What was the original temptation in the garden? The serpent said, "Eat of the tree and you will become like God."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You'll know all things. You'll become like God, knowing good from evil.
Yeah, and then you have Dawkins and stuff they try to kill God, right? And they try to and then they try to elevate themselves up to the point where maybe we can create a new life that goes on. Humans might be gone, but our AI creations will live forever, We're trying to become godlike, and we're trying to put our hope in something. And I think it's kind of prideful.
Well, it is.
It is. It's prideful. What's funny is I feel like the striving, the desire to strive is because we're made in his image. Like, aren't we striving to be like him, to be close to him because we are of him? And I don't know where that crosses the line. Again, maybe it has to do with, are you glorifying yourself or are you glorifying God with the accomplishment? Maybe that's the difference between
Carrie,
pride
you hit on something that I am interested in this chapter. Although, I wanted to say, Trevor, before that I was looking at Matthew 24, which is the famous Olivet Discourse, where Jesus is
famous, and I don't know.
Famous.
Well,
to not to Catholics. I mean, what's famous to Catholics except the statue of Mary? I know. Like,
we're not hating on Mary today. We're not hating on Mary today.
It says the arrival of so Jesus is talking to his disciples. This is when he's talking about he's going to tear down the temple. The whole thing. There's not going to be a stone left unturned. And his reference, what he's referencing, in my opinion, I think pretty clearly, is AD 70, when the Romans actually do that, and they actually tear down the temple, and they actually have the abomination of desecration, and they actually plow the thing under. And so that's important to remember. But it also says before that, he says the arrival of the Son of Man, this is in reference to what Trevor was saying, will take place in times like Noah's. Before the great flood, everyone was carrying on as usual, having a good time right up until the day Noah boarded the ark. They knew nothing until the flood hit and swept everything away. And I think it will be like that. Like, it'll be just like it'll be. And I don't think the other thing it says is that then the arrival of the Son of Man, it will fill the skies. No one will miss it. Like, it's not like you go here, you go there. It's like, that's the end of the show, folks. Those skies roll up like a scroll. You know what I mean?
It's so wild.
And then that's the beginning of the kingdom, I think.
Yep.
I mean, not the beginning. It's kind of the culmination, I guess, maybe, of the kingdom. So, or maybe the culmination of the new beginning, of the new heaven and the new earth, however you want to think about it.
Millennial.
So, Trevor's dispensational. But one of the things that I see in this, to me, this is kind of this Tower of Babel thing. Like I said, it's foundational, and I see in it the beginning that I see all kind of institutions the beginning of organization of governments, of nation states, of cities, of these kinds of things, just organization of individuals and institutions, and then organized religion specifically, because their whole thing is they're going to build their way to God. They're going to build a tower and they're going to build their way to God. Now, see, I think when I'm going to say Jesus, but when God comes down and he's looking at it and he says, hold on, I got to find it. He says, God came down, he took one look and said, one people, one language. Why, this is only a first step. No telling what they'll come up with next. They'll stop at nothing. And then he scatters them. What is he afraid of? What is he worried about? Is he worried? Is he afraid that they're gonna, oh my God, they might actually make it to heaven, like Trevor said? No, I don't think so. But I think what he might be afraid of is that they'll think they have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're more worried about that. I think God's more worried about that, because once they think they've made it, they don't have any need for God. That's why Jesus, when he came and the Pharisees don't recognize him, and he says, I didn't come to the sick, or I didn't come to the healthy, but to the sick. And they didn't need him. That's why they didn't recognize him. And these people, this is the same problem. You know what I mean? Is that they don't think they need God. They think they can do it on their own. And so there's a striving in that. And there is something that Carrie talked about. There's something that's in man that's insatiable, that wants to build. And you see this. Now, I'm going to bang on organized religion. Of course, you could apply it at all kinds of institutional levels. But there's something about us that we get at church, and then we want to build a building. And then we want to get more people. And then we want to make a name for ourselves and have it on T-shirts and hoodies. And there's just something in us.
Or on TV.
That's in that. I think it's a foundational problem, that desire for independence, but I think it manifests itself in organized religion. Now, Grok is always quick to push back on me on how, well, you got to have some organization. Apparently, I come off a little bit of an anarchist.
That's funny.
Whoa. What do you think?
Yeah.
Trevor, what do you think of that?
I think that's absolutely true. I mean,
you think there's an application there?
Yeah, I think that's basically the heart of it, you know. The heart of it is the heart of man, and God is concerned with the heart of man, because that is where we either accept him or reject him. We either come in relationship with him, or else we go our own separate way.
Yeah.
So, you know, another meaning of the story is, you know, God could just be saying, you know, he told them to be fruitful and multiply all the earth. And they said, hey, we're staying here. We're not going to do it. And God said, hey, look, they're building a city. They're never going to go away.
I think what you get from this is that God hates people who live in cities. I'm just kidding. He really likes farmers a lot.
That's right. Well, you know, they didn't obey. They didn't go. They wanted to stay together.
No, I think you're right about that. I think that that you see, one of the main things you see in this, I think that encompasses the whole thing, is a resistance to doing things God's way and God's order.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
I think that's a good summary of it. Yeah.
I think you make a good point, Carrie, in that the other thing is that it's not about us building our way to God. It's always been about God coming down. All the way through. That's the entire story, is that God comes down. And so everything about what they were trying to do was inverting what God's plan was. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So do you feel like it's a punishment? So the division, what he does is he divides this nation. He divides the people of this city and the nation. Is it a punishment that he?
Well, I think if you were them, you might have thought so.
Sure.
Depending, I don't know.
We have
it certainly ended this particular endeavor. You know what I mean? So it frustrated their purpose at that point.
But I mean, to be scattered, to suddenly be communicating in different ways and not understanding each other, is that a punishment, that division he created?
It's not as much of a judgment as like the flood or or that.
Well, you don't know, Todd, if it was given different languages to different family members and it split families.
That's true.
That might have
He's
been more.
like, you can't all be inbreeding. We gotta like spread you out.
I can't.
For some reason, I feel like God would have that figured out, but I don't know. I don't. It's like Trevor's back to his rapture idea. Whoa, holy shit! What happened to my sister? Why is she speaking German?
Or what is she speaking?
We can't have that in this house.
You go eat.
Oh my gosh.
You go with your own people.
You guys, did either of you study philosophy in college? Did you have any
I took a couple classes.
Philosophy. So ancient Greek
philosophers.
I'm
an expert, basically.
Okay, there you go. Ancient Greek philosophers call this thing, they call it the question or the problem of the one and the many. Are you familiar with the question? This story
Yes, I think so.
made me think of the problem of the one and the many. It really is it is the debate. It's the issue of the difference between unity and diversity. Here, when we enter this scene, it's all unity. Everyone is together. It's one nation. Everyone is speaking the same language. They're all working. They all have the same purpose. And God then divides them all, makes them all diverse, different languages, different nations, creates different nations. And what's interesting is I'm thinking of later when Jesus comes, there's such division, and he's really about unifying them again, which I think is interesting.
Well, I think you're hitting on a point I was going to make at some point.
Okay.
No, you're right there, which is, I think that we talk about the story has certain bookends, and the Tower of Babel is one, and that's where God separates their languages and he scatters the people. And I think that the other bookend of that is Pentecost, because that's where you see all the different languages and everyone's hearing them together. So it's in the church that Jesus is unwinding this particular spell of Babel. Do you know what I mean? Because it's in the church where they've realized God came down. They aren't trying to build their way to him. They're saying their whole message is he came and he rose from the dead, and we can too. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, Trevor?
I think that's awesome. Yeah, it's absolutely. God came down, and so you're right. He kind of juxtaposes all of those ideas that, at Babel they thought that they had to reach God, and God was something to be attained by reaching
something
up.
to be grasped.
And God's, spread them out with the different, by creating the different languages and that barrier.
Yeah.
And then God, and the day of Pentecost, Pentecost, when he came and they were speaking in tongues and everybody could hear in their own language.
Yeah, he's unifying everybody, like Carrie talked about. That's the ultimate unity, is in the church, in the kingdom, I guess. Church, kingdom mean the same thing, but
right.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it's a poetic way to put it. Yeah.
Interesting.
I like that, and I think in Jesus in general, Jesus is where he's calling. There's so many different passages where every knee will bow, every tongue will confess, and Jesus is calling all the nations to himself, and he's going to reign till he rules, till all the nations submit, in the whole thing. So Jesus is that's where the unity comes. Is Jesus regathers the nations that were scattered, but I also think that God did this even in Acts, if you remember, with persecution, because Jesus told them, go to Judea, Samaria, the ends of the world, whatever. Take the gospel out. And there was a tendency in that early church to want to kind of stay put in Jerusalem, because there's a tendency in all of us to want to stay where we're comfortable. Is why.
Of course.
And so God, through persecution, scattered the Christians. And so you get kind of the same idea.
Oh, interesting.
That Jesus will, that God will. That's another pattern, which is, if try to stay comfortable, try not to take the step of faith, like we're going to see Abraham take in not very long. That the call comes to Abraham, and Abraham responds and goes. Well, that's the alternative, because you can try to hold on to your life, but like Jesus said, if you try to hold on to your life, you're going to lose it.
Okay.
If you give up your life, if you give up your comfort and take the step of faith, you'll gain your life. That's that upside down nature of everything. And I think that's true of Babel. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think it's it is, I don't know. I think, now see, this is, if I were to take an overview, I think that what God does here is the beginning of unwinding that independence, that primary sin you talk about, which I think you're right, Trevor, is a combination of disobedience and pride. I don't know if there's any difference between the two, really. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's kind of the same thing. But that original flaw, I think, and then what I think is that they think they can build their way to him, and first he scatters them, and then he's going to spend the rest of the Old Testament. He's going to pick one nation. First, he's going to pick one dude, Abraham, and in his family, he's going to say, "I'm going to make a great nation of you." We're going to see a bunch of this as we go through Genesis, and then when God comes in with the law, I think what he's going to show them is, listen, it's in all of you to want to build your way to me. This is what it would take. And so he kind of reveals the law to them and reveals the impossibility of us attaining that. That's what Paul talks about. The law was a schoolmaster that turns to Christ. And then finally, at just the right time, the Savior appears who says, you don't have to. That's the whole point. You can't. So I'm going to do it for you. But you have to humble yourself to come to me. And I'm pretty offensive on the front end. So maybe not at your local megachurch, but in real life. What do you think, Trevor?
Yeah, I think exactly right. We cannot reach our way up to God. He has to come down to us, and then we have to humble ourselves to have that relationship.
But I think, to me, the Jews kind of had the ultimate kind of organized religion they had built up. And to me, this is where it might be a little bit of a stretch to people. I think that what God was doing with the cross is he was putting a stake right through the heart of organized religion. And I don't think that's what he meant. I don't think he made a body, not a religion, going forward. And it's not, he did not want this type of step your way to Christ, earn your way to God kind of thing. And he put us, and then I think he emphasized it in AD 70 when he plowed the whole thing under, just like he said he was going to do, and said, I'm done with all of that. It's all been fulfilled. It was all finished on the cross. Now we're in the kingdom. So anyway, what do you think of that? You think I'm too anti-organization? Trevor's like, I'm a worship pastor. Come on.
No.
What do you mean?
In a sense, God did do that, but that was, it was his vehicle. It was his tool. It was all in his plan. It's all in his master plan. And that's why the Old Testament and the New Testament are one Bible,
I agree.
Because everybody thinks there's a God of the Old Testament. There's a God of the New Testament. There's not. It's one God, and he doesn't change. He's the same God, and he's just creating some beautiful redemption story to reclaim his creation. And so that's
it's a nice way to summarize the Bible.
Well, I agree to an extent, except the reason I think when I'm talking about organized religion, what I'm talking about is the reason that we're dividing is because we've got our boxes all set up, and then your box isn't like my box, and we have to divide and we have to do this. And it seems to me all through the New Testament in the epistles that the one thing we're being called to over and over and over again is to love in spite of our differences, not start our own church. Like it just seems to me like it's bodies, it's people in homes, it's people in their lives ministering to each other, and maybe disagreeing about things, and maybe learning to love each other anyway.
Yeah.
And not being lorded over in the Sunday show. Anyway, that's my thought. What do we think?
I think it's good. But I think that, you should write a book about the Tower of Babel, though. You know what?
Yeah,
Oh.
That would make a great movie too, you know? You know, they're building this great tower, and then all of a sudden it says, "Give me a hammer," and then the guy says, "What? You know, then
I know.
you know what a hammer is. He can't hand it to him, and then it was his brother-in-law, and then his brother-in-law.
Nobody can understand anybody.
You know what?
Jeez.
And then
I gotta get divorced. I can't even understand my kid. I never understood him before. Now I can't understand him at all.
Oh, hey, give me that screwdriver, Todd. Will you? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, I thought it was good. What do you think?
Yeah.
Did a good job?
I thought it was
Really good.
Did we miss out
Trevor,
on anything?
yeah, did we
Carrie?
miss I want to ask Trevor if we missed anything, any like perspectives on it, because you said you had.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's so many ideas, you know, about.
Yeah.
I think it's just incredible how, you know, when people think about how could people come from, how could all the world's peoples and races come from two people, you know?
Mhm.
And you know, I just think this was the key, you know. I mean, you if you have people living apart separately, you know, I don't even want to go there because you guys are gonna think I'm crazy.
Awful lot of humping, I imagine.
But you know, how do you
and no birth control.
Well, you think about it when people talk about the different breeds of dogs. Always, you know, they come from these dogs, and then they just keep breeding them, and then these characteristics and how the gene pool reacts, and how the hereditary, all that stuff.
That's how we got bald.
You got to
exactly that.
There was
it's
no
all
women
because of Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
and there was no women's health care.
That's right.
No women's health care.
No women's health care.
Oh,
exactly.
I know. I mean, bottom line, I'm glad we don't debate the science of, you know, I a couple of times I've gone to look up something like, hey, is there a podcast talking about this or talking about that? And so much of it is like, you know,
numbers.
Did Noah's Ark like actually exist? And here's why: archaeological, whatever. It's all the science stuff, which is cool. But I like that we don't do that. I like that we're taking it at face value. And I mean,
I feel like God,
all things are possible with God. So
God's trying to tell us a story.
Who are we to,
you know?
Right.
And so, I mean, who are we to second guess him, first of all? And I don't know whether
exactly.
I don't know how anything happened or didn't happen. At some point we'll know.
Yeah.
It's fun to imagine it. But there's some themes that run through all of it, you know? Yeah, I don't know what that was. Probably Trevor.
Trevor's getting a call. It's got to pop up.
You think God is scared of all this stuff, though? No. You think he's scared that our AI will get too smart?
No.
Well, I don't think God's scared of anything. No.
No.
I reckon he's got it all under control.
I do wonder if he's, you know, shaking his head sometimes at us. Like,
I mean, I think there's a point at which all civilizations kind of.
Or is he like, you're so close? You know, like I wonder how he thinks we're doing.
I don't know.
Would you start to say, Todd?
I don't
know. About civilization?
Well, you wonder, because I mean, civilizations do go through. It would be the end of the world to us if the American Empire, you know, crumbled eventually. But
true,
it is. I mean, the fact of the matter is, they're not going to be flying the American flag in heaven. They're not going to be flying any flags. All of these states, all of these organizations that we build ourselves into, those are all sandcastles. Like the immortals are the people. Or the potential immortals are the people that you talk to every day.
Are you
potential immortals.
You're saying we shouldn't have borders, Todd?
Right. Just let them in. No.
No, it is funny though. It's funny how living, you know, in this world is so different than the standards outside of the world.
Well, that's true. It's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
We do our best. Figure it out. I don't know. Thanks for joining us, Trevor. It was fun.
I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, it was good. I think from here, maybe we go into Abraham.
Right?
You better.
Am I right about Abraham?
I think Abraham's
coming. I think we're going to grab maybe a couple pertinent pertinent verses out
we
of
have a couple more pages of genealogy.
We might grab a couple pertinent verses out of the rest of 11, and then mostly we're going to go to 12, I think. So our next one will be 12 for all intents and purposes. Like today's was basically 11 and what we were going to talk about in 11. And once we get into 12, we're Abraham. It's fun.
Cool.
So I'm excited. I really believe Abraham lived. I think we can stop questioning that.
You think he really had a kid?
I really do. Yeah, I think we're going to treat it as if it all happened.
Is it getting close enough to now that we don't have to question it?
I mean, I think you can trace them all the way back, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
The Jews do. I think the Jews think he's real, don't they?
I think we do.
Well, there you go.
I feel like they would know.
Yeah,
I know.
We can trust them.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Check out the Wildly Opinionated News Hours, our other podcast, if you haven't.
Last week.
Yeah, it'd be from last week. We do those every other week, and then this on our off weeks we have Beers with Jesus every week. So we fit in the world when we can. But check them out. Check out both. Check out toddsworld.net. My books are on there. There's some fabulous stories. I really got to start telling people more about them, and I'm planning to. So
I know.
Tower of Babel coming up, right?
I don't know about Tower of Babel. We'll see.
Oh man, come on.
We'll see. There is a new book coming out. I think I expect probably late fall. I'm hoping to get it out before the holidays.
This is not the next witness. Are you writing something else?
Nope. I'm writing. It's going to be a collection of Bible. The operable title is "Beaten by the Storm: Bible Stories for the Broken."
Ooh, I love that.
It's kind of it'll be in like 30 different Bible stories where we take, kind of a short thing. And I did it kind of with the serials originally. Remember that, Trevor? Yeah, you guys remember that.
That's cool.
So I'm going to repurpose some of those and then write some new ones, and something that I could do more volumes of if I wanted with that same format real easily. That people
or
seem
other
to really,
themes.
Yeah, people really seem to like that format where you kind of take a short thing and then kind of, I don't know, fictionalizing it kind of get it imaginative.
How many are you going to have in there?
Maybe like 30?
30?
Yeah, I thought that'd be a good
month.
I kind of thought I looked at it as maybe somewhat devotional because they're probably I don't know 10-minute reads or something, maybe.
That's cool.
Maybe a little more.
I
mean, they were 10-minute reads for me when I did them, so I've tried to keep them in that range. A few of them will be a little longer. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
That
but then
great.
Witness right after that. Maybe Witness concurrently as far as writing it, but
okay,
I don't
good.
know. We'll see.
Awesome.
Witness is next. So, all right, guys.
Well, thanks so much for everything you guys
coming, Trevor.
Contributed.
Carrie, always thank you. You're fabulous.
Thanks for
This is going to come out tomorrow, so everybody enjoy. Tell people about us, send clips. We no one's going to hear about us if you don't tell your friends. So if you really enjoy us, I hope that you do send them some clips and turn them on to us. And feel free to comment on whatever whatever Carrie said that bothered you. I'm sure it wasn't me. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Trevor. We'll catch you next time when you guest host.
You bet.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Bye-bye.